Built from tragedy, made for static. It's your boy, Perfect Timing Podcast with the blast, in and out with a dash. 2025 won't last. We're going to do this real fast. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Another vertical live, top of the mid morning from an OG perspective. Y'all get yourself on in here, man. Make sure you get in here right now. Share the live, share the show. Let everybody know Perfect Timing is live 5.0, 5.0, 5.0. We're going to have a discussion this morning. I hope you see the thumbnail. I hope you see the thumbnail. I hope you've been listening to the conversation we be having, because this, sadly enough, is going to be a long line, a continuation in the conversation that we've been having this week about love, preference, and emotional intelligence. Boy, this is going to be a powerful, jam-packed live stream vertically this morning. Good morning, good morning, good morning. It's morning time. I got my chamomile tea. This morning I got I got the chamomile with the cinnamon. I was gonna get me some cold foam. I got some cold foam for my baby, but I forgot to put the cold foam in the tea. But the tea is still popping this morning. I wish it was a little bit hotter. I wish the tea was a little bit hotter, but I've been busy. I've been busy, man. I got my chain on backwards, man. I didn't even know I had my chain on backwards. Y'all talk to me this morning, man. Whether YouTube do their thing and push out the algorithm, man, and what we talking about this morning, man. Good conversation this morning, man. I don't know. I didn't really want to have this conversation, man, but it's a viral conversation right now about Lil Ronnie. Like, I don't really like talking about the hood and the hood violence, right? But the reason we're going to talk about the Lil Ronnie murder today, because of intersectionality. We're having some intersectionality with my other platform, on my Instagram platform. So on my Instagram platform is where the conversation started about rest and preference, right? And recently on my Instagram platform, a brother came up and he made a very powerful statement. And the brother said, if you are currently raising a young man, if you are a single mother raising a young man and lacking emotional intelligence, right, then you ruin that young boy. This is a very powerful conversation. A lot of times the black manosphere, black men on YouTube get a lot of hate, right? But recently I have really heard a lot of tenements and talking points from the black manosphere being espoused by other content creators, but just repackaging them. Now, this black man was very charismatic, and he was talking to a group of black women, but these are talking points that we've been sharing for years, right? When we talk about the homo thug, what's up to Tony Edwards, salute. When we talk about the murder, when we talk about Lil Ronnie, when we talk about the other young man who was unalived earlier this week, and we talked about people celebrating his murder, or how unhealthy mentally it is when someone is murdered. Think about the humanity. Now, we all can empathize with this 5-year-old little girl, but for some reason during this discussion, people have been trying to find a reason to not empathize with the young man. But now that we learned that the young man was not a bad guy, wasn't set up, then now we can feel bad for Lil Ronnie. But in the beginning, everyone was saying it's okay to mourn the little girl, the 5-year-old little girl. In the beginning of the story, it was okay to mourn the little girl. It was not okay to mourn Lil Ronnie, because that black man's life didn't have value. We wanted to blame the black man until we found out more. When we talk about emotional intelligence, this was a powerful statement. This brother was well composed. He was talking to a group of young sisters. He said he wanted to impart this knowledge. He said, if you plan on being a mother, right? If you are a single mother and you lack emotional intelligence, you are ruining that young male child. Now, the reason he said, and the reason this is connected to Lil Ronnie, and Lil Ronnie being set up by his baby mama, and a 5-year-old little girl being murdered. Emotional intelligence. What would drive your child's mother, to follow and set up her baby daddy to have him murdered? What I've been talking about all week is a mental health crisis within our community, and people not being able to do three things because you had a broken mother. If you start the game off with a broken mother, with a mother who lacks emotional intelligence, you are starting the game off ruined. Now let me break it down to you like the black man did on my Instagram story. What he said is there are three things when your mother lacks emotional intelligence and doesn't love you. A lot of times in the YouTube community, we get flack in the black manosphere because people think we dislike black women. I do not have issues with black women because I have worked through my emotional trauma. I have worked through my childhood trauma associated with black women, right? A lot of us have not. So what you see when you, and this is the truth for black women also. Most recently, I did a podcast about a young lady who went viral for saying, don't date black men. When she was pressed on the issue of why not to date black men, she delineated and said, okay, you can date Jamaicans and you can date Africans, just don't date FBA or ADOS. And I'm like, wow, she was able to delineate blackness, and when pressed, she corrected herself and said, well, not all black men. What do you mean by not all? Again, a lack of emotional intelligence and an understanding of nationality and race. So they asked her again, why do you have the feelings you have toward black men? And she went deeper. She said, my father emotionally and physically abused my mother. My father emotionally and abused me. Then she qualified the statement by saying, I've dated 3 black men, and those 3 black men emotionally and physically abused me. Now, right then and there, I'm waiting for someone on the panel to help this young lady, because this young lady does not have an issue with black men. This young lady has an unresolved trauma from her childhood and her abusive father. It's not about race. It's not about color. It's not about sex and gender most times. It's about people needing help with their childhood traumas. A lot of us are suffering from childhood traumas. So she came on the internet as an intelligent, beautiful young lady, and she was just basically using the internet like a lot of us do for therapy, because we don't have access to healthy conversations with people who can help us walk through our childhood trauma. So instead, she gets on the internet and she says, oh, I hate black men, and what's the gag? The gag is, the gag is black man this. The gag is black man that. And it went viral because people love this conversation, right? And when asked and pressed on the conversation, I had a moderator in here. My moderator must have bounced out, but Michaela Curtis, I had a moderator in here. Big Daddy, you must have bounced. I love you still, Big Daddy. I'll take care of it. I'll take care of it. There we go. So, okay, we got you in timeout right now. Get your life together, Michaela. Get your life together, Michaela. YouTube don't like all that. And my people with my wrench, I know my people is busy, but my people with my wrench, you know what I'm saying, when you do the vertical live, everybody, it come up on your FYP. So when you do the vertical live, you get a little bit of everybody, man. So people having fun, man. Good morning, man. Like I said, man, I love the comments. Michaela, thank you for commenting, man. I didn't block you. I just put you on timeout for a little while so you can show some respect. Not just for me in the conversation, but for the platform. I'm sure you don't want to get in trouble because you're here, you created a YouTube account. I'm sure you want to be able to comment on other people's. And actually, Michaela, I want to thank you for coming and taking the time to comment and watch the live stream. And if you want to have something constructive to add to the conversation, I only put you on timeout for a short amount of time. So you're welcome to comment, and thank you for watching. So check this out. Lil Ronnie, a Texas rapper, was murdered a couple days ago. It's been viral, right? I really don't talk about these type of topics, right? But it was a different type of situation because the brother was murdered with his 5-year-old daughter. The 5-year-old little girl had just turned 5 2 days ago. So now, you know what happened? The internet sleuths have been all over the case. They've already identified the murderers. They've potentially identified the getaway driver. And what came out today is that this is what the question has been. Number one, okay, how did the murderers know where Lil Ronnie was, right? And everybody was saying, well, Lil Ronnie was running away from the car so that his daughter wasn't murdered, right? So the question they start figuring out who killed Lil Ronnie. The police put out pictures. Turns out these young men had been on the run. You know, it reminds me of the Young Dolph murder. And the men all associated with Young Dolph. The young guy, he had got imprisoned twice. He had shot someone twice, and then he had got out twice. The people involved with this murder had just been in the shooting. He had just shot somebody, but he didn't go to jail. He got like a year of working on the freeway. He didn't go to jail. So both of these, one of them was a PDF, and the other one was on the run. So immediately people start saying, well, how did they find out? Why did this happen? And then there was a car that was in the car wash that everybody had said, why is that car here? What is that car doing? And upon further investigation, what has come out is potentially, allegedly, this has not been confirmed, but this connects directly to the conversation we've been having this week. To people saying rest in preference, right? To people thinking it's funny, for people finding a way to excuse the death and homicide of black men. And why is that okay? Why is that being promoted on the internet? Every time a black man is unalive, it's viral. And then people are laughing. The internet goes crazy. Hashtags go crazy. Rest in preference was everywhere. Now there's a 5-year-old girl murdered, and potentially Lil Ronnie's baby mama was the one who followed him and gave the murderers the drop. When people have investigated the car that was at the car wash, what has come back is 2 women were involved in the murder of a 5-year-old girl. And whether or not the shooters knew the 5-year-old girl was there, both of those women knew that Ronnie was known to be with his daughter, and the daughter possibly could be there. So there was a female driver, and there was a female in the car that was sitting on the car wash. What is coming out allegedly is the female in the car was potentially the young man who was murdered, baby mama. So this conversation directly connects to the conversation about emotional intelligence, emotional damage, and preference. What is happening in our community? Everybody, this is the sick part. So I've been on the internet going crazy with this mental health conversation. Now think about this. I started off this week discussing a young man who was unalived by his wife. Everybody wanted to condone him being unalived because his wife was of a different race. It's kind of sick and perverted to me because we're coming out of a 4-year time span where I thought we were being taught how to be more accepting, right? Being accepting of people's choices, right? Whether it's gender, whether it's sexuality, whether it's where you want to live, where you want to work. I thought we were coming out of a time where we had been taught to respect people's preferences, that people should not be placed in boxes. I saw a lot of young men in the past 4 years who did not like being put in a black box, in a thug box. I saw a lot of young men in the past 4 years who did not like being put in the box of masculinity because they associate masculinity with being toxic. And a lot of young men have been talking about the fact that I am not the man that my father was. I am not going to be held to a misogynistic masculine standard. I am a different man. I see the world different. I see women different. I see my brothers different. I am okay with his preferences. I am okay with her preferences. I was very proud. I was extremely proud of the young people who had been working on checking their privilege, checking their baggage, But it seems selective as a black man. Like when we talk about DEI and we talk about all this growth that we've had in the country with people being more understanding of preferences and choices, respecting people's gender choices, sexual choices, relationship choices and goals. For the past 4 years, that's been driven into our head. But for some reason, when a black man, when an FBA ADOS Negro exhibits that preference that the last 4 years that you guys been espousing, you say it's okay for him to get murdered. You just taught the whole world to respect preferences. You hate Donald Trump because you say Donald Trump doesn't respect your preferences. But a black man is murdered and we giggle and we laugh because of his preference. All over the internet, I see black men and black women finding a way. What if he was homosexual? Would it be okay for heterosexual black men to get online and say, well, I'm not gonna support him. He was a homosexual and he slept with white men. So because he's homosexual, I don't care that he was murdered. Would you say I had healthy emotional intelligence? Would you say I was showing humanity to that person who lost their life? If simply because of his sexual orientation, I chose not to respect the fact that he was unjustly murdered. How would you clarify me? How would you classify me if I did the same thing you women are doing? If I said I don't care about his murder because he's homosexual and he dated a white man. Ha ha, rest in your preference. Ha ha, that's the gag. That's the gag. Rest in your preference. You like to date white men. Ha ha. I bet y'all get kicked off the damn internet. But it's okay for black women to say, ha ha, ha ha. Every black woman who made a video about rest in preference was happy. I don't typically see black women that happy. Black women be having a mean look. Black women are mean all the time, so much that black women had to create something called a soft era to remind black women to start looking and being soft and feminine. Every black woman who made a video about rest in preference was elated, laughing, enjoying. Ha ha, ha ha. Rest in your preference. I didn't see one black woman who made a rest in preference video who wasn't happy. So when we talk about emotional intelligence of these individuals, you gotta link that to the murder of Lil Ronnie, because everyone is wondering how and why a 5-year-old little girl got murdered. How and why a 5-year-old little girl got murdered. And when the murder happened, just like with the rest in preference, everybody sought to blame the victim. Lil Ronnie got his daughter murdered. Lil Ronnie this, Lil Ronnie that. The more investigation came out, what did we find out? Lil Ronnie was not all the internet made him up to be. Lil Ronnie didn't have any ops. He didn't have any enemies. He wasn't the type of man who carried a gun or even lived his life in a way to create enemies, except his baby mama. It's a tragedy. There are no men that the internet sleuths have been going crazy. What did Lil Ronnie do? Lil Ronnie, did he rob somebody in a dice game? Did he take somebody's money? Everybody's like, no. Lil Ronnie's not like that. So no one could figure out why he was murdered. So anybody wondering, why is he bringing up rest in preference? Why is he bringing up black women? Why is he bringing up black mothers? Read the title. Look at that little 5-year-old black girl in the thumbnail. It's because what's being alleged is that Lil Ronnie was set up by his baby mama. Now, whether or not that's true, what we do know is the car that sat on Lil Ronnie and that told the murderers where he was and gave him the drop was his baby mama car. So it will come out eventually whether or not Lil Ronnie was set up by his baby mama. But what's being reported right now is that Lil Ronnie possibly, allegedly, was set up by his baby mama. Probably because she was upset by his success and the fact that she felt that she was owed a part of his success. And what I'm hearing is that there is some type of life insurance policy. Shout out to my brother. Shout out to Tracy. Thank you, Tracy. If you're watching on the phone right now, double tap the screen. Double tap the screen. Get us some more viewers in here, man. There was a life insurance policy on Lil Ronnie for $500,000. I don't know if she took it out. More details are going to come out. The reason that I chose to talk about, and you see me, man, I'm like this. I love my job, man. I'll be passionate. The reason I am up here so passionate talking about this because I can't believe the intersectionality. If Tracy follows me on Instagram, if you follow me on Instagram, what you will see on my Instagram story is a brother talking about if the brother says, how are our young boys being ruined? How are our young boys being ruined? And he said, if you are a young man being raised by a woman who lacks emotional intelligence, that's how our children are being ruined. And I've been saying this, like how do you get a woman knowing that a man is with his 5-year-old daughter who just turned 5, and she is in a mood to the point where, remember Gucci Mane? Like a lot of people listening to this is gonna be like, I can't believe it. And I remember Gucci Mane, and I remember hearing the recording. Gucci Mane there was a murder homicide that made Gucci Mane. People believe that Gucci Mane was really about the things he rapped about. Gucci Mane met a pretty girl. He went over her house, and she set him up to get murdered and robbed for his jewelry. Gucci Mane made it out alive. I'm not going to tell the entire story because it's a tragic story on both sides, right? But Gucci Mane was able to make it out alive. There was a recording of the young lady saying, I'm going to get me some money. I'm going to get me a chain. How many people know Guwap? Y'all might know him by Guwap, huh? Keisha Kior, his wife, made $7 million while he was in jail. He made a lot of songs with Drake. I know it's a lot of Drake stands out there. Gucci Mane, Guwap, Pooh Shiesty, 1017 Records was robbed in a murder homicide plot, in a robbery homicide plot, but he lived, and they had a tape of the young lady who set him up. I'm going to get me some money. I'm going to get me a chain. Who remembers that? This is what we dealing with. This is what we dealing with. Make sure you like, share, subscribe, hit the donate. I meant to say that last night when I was looking at my viewers and my numbers. I said, boy, you didn't tell nobody to donate. I said donate at the end of the live stream. Like, share, subscribe, and donate. You can hit the super chat. My Cash App, $ bigdrants. Should have put the Cash App and all that in the chat yesterday, but you know, it's all coming in due time, man. I feel it, man. Top of the mid-morning podcast, man. Vertical live going up. So tell me, man, I want to know, a lot of people, we had a good conversation yesterday. Omar was in the chat. Zigzag was in the chat. Michaela just got timed out. I'm sure, Michaela, your timing, I'm sure, Michaela, you can comment again. We got Tracy. We got Big Daddy Beard Gaming. Big Daddy Beard Gaming just had a fire debate table. Make sure you go subscribe to BDBG. A lot of people watch the gaming streams on Twitch. My brother's on Instagram. He's on YouTube. He probably is on Twitch playing the games. You don't see a lot of black men like in my age group. Big BD is number one. He younger than me, right? So I'm not gonna put him in my age group, but he younger than me. But Yeah, man, check him out, man. He played the video games, and I know that's popular right now. But beyond the video games, he's a good brother, a family man, a father, a hardworking individual. You know, the other day when I was talking, I said, why can't Queens Flip? Speaking as I give Big Daddy his props, and shout out to my brother Mark Woke TV. My brother Mark Woke TV tapped in with me on Instagram too, man. Hey y'all, I'm telling you, I'm gonna do it live on my regular stream yard so I can bring y'all up, introduce y'all, and then put y'all live, put y'all links in the chat. Man, you know, we gotta love each other, man. Share the love, promote each other like they do over there, man. You notice how they go around each other podcasts? Like I've never done an interview, right? So I think what we need to do, Mark Woke TV was in the back, say, perfect, what can we do to grow our channel? I got an idea, Mark. In my head, what I said we should be doing is what they doing. The other day I talked about Gavin Newsom and Gavin Newsom understanding where the climate was going. So Shannon Sharp came out and blew up on the podcast with the Cat Williams interview. I've never done an interview. I perfected this ability to run a podcast, but I've never done an interview. So it's not easy cultivating the audience for the amount of time that we cultivate the audience for those of us who do solo podcasts, right? This is a talent, right? Being able to cultivate an audience for this amount of time. So I was saying, Mark, what we got to do is this. We got to do interviews. We got to interview each other, right? So BD, I know he got his platforms where he do the debate, he do the Battle of the Beats, but I think what we got to do outside of that is we got to start interviewing each other, right? So I come on your show, we do an interview, like a real interview, ask questions, you know, deep dive, get some viral moments. Same thing, you come on my platform, we do an interview, I go on Big Daddy, and then all of us, we start interviewing each other, like multiple times on different topics, you know what I'm saying? That, I believe, will get us, will it's one avenue, you know what I'm saying, to help us out, you know what I'm saying? Interview each other, you know what I'm saying? Start doing interviews, and I believe, you know, we could do outside interviews too, but one of the ways that we're going to push each other is to interview each other. So Lil Ronnie murdered by two individuals. One of the individuals is a PDF and should have been incarcerated. Now think about what happened with Young Dolph. You had straight drop, you had all these individuals. Now what we came to learn about the criminal justice system is that the criminal justice system is broken, right? I mean, there was a lot of talk about stop and frisk and you know, incarceration. When I was a youth, people getting a lot of time. And you live in a time where Tory Lanez got 10 years, right? They want to give Diddy life, but everyday people are dealing with extreme crime. Everyday people in everyday neighborhoods are dealing with extreme crime. Why? Because the what happened post George Floyd and post BLM riots is that I believe there has been a backlash, and purposely the justice system has been releasing individuals who have been incarcerated. I think it's two things. It's a backlash to those protests, and it's also financial. And none of these things are being discussed, because when these things happen, all of us are surprised. Like people who go to work every day, take their kids to school every day, are surprised. They cannot believe what's going on in their country. When you hear about, wait a minute, he shot someone and didn't go to jail. Like all of us are like, he must did this. No. Then you find out he was arrested and adjudicated. And then we all are scratching our head. We're like, wait a minute. I'm a 30, 40-year-old person. I've never committed a crime, but I've heard of my cousin, my brother, my extended family, and I've never experienced in my time in America someone shooting another person, being arrested for that crime, being found guilty, the crime being adjudicated, and that person being on the street to commit another crime within the same year. And a lot of us are surprised. Like a lot of us didn't know that our criminal justice system was working this way. But it's working this way post-protest, post-pandemic. And it has a lot to do, and this is the thing, no one is asking why. Like right now we're asking why, because a 5-year-old girl was shot. Why wasn't these men incarcerated? Well, Young Dolph, who owned $100 million record company, he was potentially going to be a billionaire, he's gone. And it turns out the men involved in Young Dolph's murder should have been incarcerated. One of the guys straight dropped had shot someone twice. And everybody was like, he could not have gone to court. He could not have been to a judge. In the past 6 years, this gentleman has shot multiple people, got caught with a gun multiple times, a loaded illegal weapon, and he was still free to kill young Dolph. Everybody is like, how? How and why? How and why is a PDF? He's on a sex offender list. And then the other person was on probation for shooting someone. And they killed Lil Ronnie and a 5-year-old little girl. And no one is discussing how and why they were free. Financial. Major cities are bankrupt. When we talk about Donald Trump, we had a fire live yesterday. We talk about Donald Trump and the way the Democrats acted childish at that thing. So what's going on with everybody being released? Now, this is Memphis. This is Dallas. Dallas is a billionaire city. Dallas got billionaires, black billionaires, white billionaires. It's an oil city. Fort Worth and Dallas, we talking about major metropolis. Memphis, major metropolis, right? What is going on to where people who are carrying illegal weapons and shooting other human beings are not receiving any jail time? I put forth to you that it's a financial issue going on in major cities that are bankrupt. I talked about this years ago when I did research on San Francisco and Los Angeles. Why did we have the issue with the Eden fires? We really still, like when I talk about Viola Wallace and Christopher Wallace and why Viola Wallace lost her lawsuit against the LAPD, the LAPD couldn't afford to pay out the $500 million. LAPD operates in the red. Los Angeles operates in the red. San Francisco operates in the red. New York operates in the red. Memphis, Dallas, all American major metropolises are bankrupt. When I say bankrupt, oh, wow. When I say bankrupt, I mean bankrupt like Detroit. Bankrupt like Vallejo. How many people live in Detroit or been to Detroit? How many people in the chat are familiar with Vallejo and Vallejo going bankrupt? Well, I'm not in Detroit. I've seen Detroit, but I am in the Northern California, and I lived in Vallejo when Vallejo went bankrupt. And Vallejo going bankrupt meant Vallejo is a city where E40 is from, a very prominent, famous city in Northern California, went bankrupt, much like Detroit. When Vallejo went bankrupt, what you saw is all downtown shut down. There was something called the Wild Wild West in Vallejo, where there was over 100 marijuana dispensaries because every business in the downtown area of Vallejo was closed. There were no storefronts. There was once a vibrant downtown. When Vallejo went bankrupt, every business in Vallejo had to close. There were no more police officers. There were no more firefighters because there was no more money to pay any of the services. Garbage was on the street. So y'all got state troopers, right? We have highway patrol. Highway patrol, well, when I lived in Vallejo, worked in Kaiser, there were no black and white police. There were 2 highway patrol officers for the whole city. When I did a story on Portland, I did a story about a sergeant pulling over a car with no license plate. The driver didn't have a license. The driver was high. The passenger was high. They were both on narcotics. And the sergeant let them go. This was an amazing story to me. The sergeant let them go. He said, and then he gave a press conference. He said, number one, I couldn't determine on the street whether or not the car was stolen. I did know they were high, but there are only the murders in Portland at the time had gone up 1,000%, and there were not enough police officers for him to take the time to arrest them and tow the car. So he let them go because he had to focus on homicides. He let 2 people go in a car with no license plate who were high off methamphetamines because the situation was so drastic that he had so few officers that he couldn't focus on them. He had to focus on the homicide. When I lived in Vallejo, I told the story many times. When Vallejo was broke, I was at Kaiser at work. My then wife called the police because she saw kids in a fight in our neighborhood, which was a beautiful, nice neighborhood. There shouldn't have been any fighting. The police told her, "Is anyone bleeding?" And she was like, "I couldn't believe that they asked me that. What does that have to do with there's a crime? I'm on the phone. I'm witnessing a crime. I thought you called the police. The police come out and stop the crime." Do y'all know America's changed? Like, it's changed in so many ways. When we got a woman setting up her baby mama for murder, you know what I'm saying? When we got two young men who should have been in jail killing them, you know what I'm saying? America has changed. So the Vallejo police told her that if no one was bleeding, and then they did it in a way that they have been trained to do it because they don't want the person on the phone to lie. "Okay, ma'am, we're gonna help you out. Can you tell me, ma'am, is anyone bleeding?" And so she's honest. "No, nobody's bleeding." "Okay, is there any weapons, ma'am? Can you tell me? Because we need to know. We're gonna help you out." No weapons. No one's bleeding." And then they told her, "We ain't coming." What? If there's no weapons and there's nobody bleeding, we don't have enough police officers. We can't send nobody out. We can only send somebody out if there's somebody bleeding or if there's a weapon. That's how broke Vallejo was as a city at one time. There were no black and white police cars, and they would not send out police service unless someone was laying on the ground bleeding. So when we talk about these two young men, and everybody wants to get mad at the judge who put the young man on 1 year probation or 4 years in jail for shooting someone, and all he had to do was show up and clean up garbage off the side of the road, but he didn't do it. Y'all want to get mad at the judge. The judge gave him that because the judge goes to a meeting. Though a lot of people who talk about this don't have a job. You know what I'm saying? They don't have a job. They don't know what an SOP is. They don't know what guideline, standard operating procedures, guidelines, you know what I'm saying, and goals that we have for our office and for this department, right? So when a judge has a young man who shoots somebody and that judge puts that young man on work detail, it's because they've already had a conversation about how much money it's costing us to have, because the crime is going out of control. The crime is going out of control during the Democrats. In the last 4 years, y'all been asleep. Y'all imagine if y'all would have voted for Kamala, how much murder would be going on right now. The crime is going out of control. We cannot afford to house all the criminals. So just like in Chicago, where you can get let go for mutual combat, and these major metropolis cities are broke. So the reason why that judge even had the option, because the judge is a job. If laws exist like mandatory minimums, like when I was a kid, the judge's hands was tied. Judge had to give us all that time. It's changed now. The laws have changed now. The parameters have changed now. And they actually are talking to the judges like, "No, put them on this, put them on that." Why? Because the city is broke. The city can't afford. That's why they let the little boy go. That's why they couldn't arrest him. There were no police to go get him. Everybody asking, "Hey, why didn't they go arrest him?" We all know why. All the criminals know why. There ain't no more cops. But so many people working 2 jobs. So many people got depression. So many people dealing with so much. Man, I'll tell you, these last 4 years with these Democrats was hard on Americans, man. And your children is not reading. The schools are not performing well. I see so many parents at the school. So your children not doing good in school. So you at the school. You're not making enough money. The bills is going up. The eggs is $8. People are worried about everything. They're not focused on local politics, so they don't know what's going on in their world. They don't know what's going on in their world. They don't know that the criminal justice system is broken, but not just broken, but broke. That the major city that you paying your taxes, your mellow rules, your property tax, these major cities are broke. like Los Angeles, like Memphis, like Dallas, like New York. They can't afford to pay the police officers. Do you know what bankrupted Detroit? Detroit got bankrupted by pensions. They couldn't afford to pay the retirement. They even asked the white police officers who retired, the baby boomers, give back some of the money so that the city don't go bankrupt. You know what they said? They said no. And that's why they went bankrupt. Now what you need to know about Detroit that they never talked about, they act like Detroit was just a lone wolf. Well, my mother worked for civil service, rest in peace, Mama Shirley. And what you need to know about, they would compete. So if Detroit police officers got a raise, the Los Angeles Police Union would lobby the city of Los Angeles for more money. And they would say, we have the biggest city with the most crime. Our police officers are dealing with more. You have to pay them more than the cops in Detroit. I remember these arguments. Miami, Los Angeles, San Francisco. This is how negotiations work. We have police unions. These police unions have been fleecing American cities. And everybody, teachers unions, police unions have been robbing you blind. This is why you broke. This is why your city is so violent. It's the police and the teachers. And the teachers and the police don't give a fuck. They take the money and they run out the big city. You live in the big city. And think about, this is so fucked up. It's not funny, but it's so fucked up. You trust police. You trust the teacher. But no one can read and everyone is getting murdered. But the teacher and the police want more money and more respect than ever. But no one can read and a 5-year-old girl just got murdered. Think about the bullshit that you live in. The police want more respect, more money. Teachers want more money and more respect, but no one can read. Everyone is dropping out of school, joining the gang. And then a 5-year-old little girl was murdered, but police are not doing anything about it. But they're getting paid a lot of money. This is what also, they have huge pensions in retirement. If you look up the teachers fund, the teachers have one of the largest pensions in the globe. They have $1 billion. Some people might say $1 trillion. The teachers pension fund is one of the biggest funds in the world. And when I learned that, I'm in the capital. I'm in the capital of California. There is a huge building downtown. It's one of the most beautiful buildings in the city. I said, what is this? This is the teachers union. What? Yeah, we manage the teachers' money. What money? The teachers are broke. The kids can't read. Oh, no. So I Googled it. I looked it up. The teachers' pension, the teachers' retirement is one of the largest funds in the fucking world. The teachers are flush with monies. And they invest the money and the money grows. It's a mega monolith. The teachers are wealthy. You know how they say one person is rich, one person is wealthy? The teachers are wealthy. The police officers are wealthy. What is bankrupting these American cities are not just the salary, the high salary that we're paying teachers and police, but the retirement. Some of them get more in retirement than they made going to work. Can you believe that? That's not your job. Nowhere where we work do we get a retirement plan like a teacher or a police officer. And we can't afford it. This is the thing. You're paying for it. So when you hear it, you got to ask yourself, who's paying for that? Why do teachers and police get such good retirement? And who has that money? You. You. And Biden, one of the last things he said was, hey, we need to give teachers more money. If you want teachers to have more money, take it out their ass. They got it in billions in the union. The union can just give out a check, give them dividends. The teachers got so much money. And every time I had this conversation, someone gets upset. Someone on the PTA, some minority who lives in a low-income neighborhood. I got into a heated debate with a minority woman in a low-income neighborhood. Oh, my teacher is so great. My teacher is broke. Teachers need more money. I said, you need more money. And then I won a debate, and it was not funny because she was almost in tears at the end of the debate. I had to remind her how poor she was. She is in a state of poverty. I taught her what a Title I school is. I said, the teacher you're talking about, she works in this school on purpose. This minority mother didn't even know what a Title I school is, and the fact that white women, like the ones she was trying to protect, work in impoverished ghetto communities at Title I schools. It's called where 75% of the students are below the poverty line. How do they know that? Because they know who's on welfare. You know, when you go to apply for a job at Walmart and they say, how many people in your house have TANF in the past 12 months? They do that same thing with the free lunch program. So with the free lunch program, they know how many of the students are below the poverty line. They know how many of the students receive welfare. And in a school where the majority of the students are under the poverty line and receive welfare, teachers make more money. You get a bonus for working in that school. So I'm having a debate with a minority mother. She's telling me how much teachers are losing, and she doesn't even know what a Title I school is. She doesn't know that that white woman that she's protecting is making more money than her mother, her grandmother, all combined, and more money than you'll ever make in your life. And she only went to school for 2 years. And I'm saying this to this minority woman, and she's almost in tears. She didn't know how much money. I walked her to the parking lot where the teachers, you don't even have a car. This mother didn't have a car. She volunteered for school. She donated all her time and money to teachers because she felt like teachers were getting robbed. So I took her to the teacher parking lot. They were all foreigns. There were all foreign Subarus. There were no American-made cars. We don't hold our teachers accountable. And she could not believe it. The principal had a Mercedes. So I talked to her about how much principals make at a Title I school. Do you know how much in California? Do you know how much a principal makes at a lower income school in California? It's 6 figures. And teachers get tenure. Do you know how much it's starting out as a police officer? So when we talk about a 5-year-old girl being murdered, and we talk about Doge, and we talk about the overspending, aren't you happy that we have Doge? Aren't you? I'm happy we have Doge. I'm happy we have Donald Trump, because the first thing I want to talk about is how much are these police officers making? If Instagram and YouTube and AI and Google is doing the work and police officers are bragging about not needing to do nothing, police officers need the job needs to get changed. I want robots. I want Minority Report. I want robots, because the police officers, I need AI doing the job, and citizens, we need that money back. Trump, Elon Musk, I need a digital and a smart city. I want a digital police department, because police have abused their power and abused their trust financially and physically with the community. I don't need a police officer anymore. I don't need no more bald-headed white man in a uniform, because you're not even doing the job anymore. There can be a computer at the stoplight, and there could be a computer downtown, and that same computer can use AI to analyze the YouTube videos the same way AK-47 did, and analyze the social media, and then goddamn it, you, just like Minority Report and Tom Cruise, you can goddamn it arrest people before a crime. People put so much information on the internet that we could have a Minority Report police department right now. We don't have to have any more bankrupt American cities. We don't have to have any more bankrupt American cities. If the police officers can't protect a 5-year-old little girl, why do they need to start off at $90,000? Did you guys know that you start at 90 grand? And then their retirement is $1 million retirement. Cities are going broke. You can't afford your police. You can't afford your fire. That's why there was no water in Eaton. There was no water in LA. They ran out of water. That's why the billionaire had his own fire department. Shout out to Tim Dillon. It was laughable. The billionaire went on Bill Maher. He said, Bill Maher said, how did you keep your house? We have a private fire department. Bill Maher said, what? He said, is that fair? He's talking to a billionaire. Is that fair that you have a, he said, yeah. He said, yeah, that freed up the fire department to go help somebody else. I didn't need public services. And I can afford my own services. So because I have my own private fire department, the fire truck that they were going to send to my house, I said, I don't need it. Now, there were people, houses burning up. They didn't get an option of a fire truck to come to their house. But a billionaire, they call a billionaire and say, hey, we're going to send a fire truck to your house. Even though we have a limited, what happened in LA? You found out that we don't have enough fire engines. It wasn't just the fact that we didn't have enough water. We didn't have enough fire engines and we don't have enough firefighters. We had to supplement the firefighter force with prisoners. We had so little firefighters to cover the fires in California. You know what they should have? You know what you should have saw after the E fire? You should have saw a YouTube commercial recruiting firefighters, men and women. We need more firefighters. We will pay you. We will train you. You know why you didn't see that commercial? Because we can't afford it. So they use prisoners to fight the fires. Everybody should say, you know what? After that fire, you guys need to have better planning. You need to have better firefighters. You do. You need more firefighters. You need more water. You need more fire engines. Well, guess what, America? You can't afford it. You can't afford it. And you're spending the money on DEI and liberal initiatives. Instead of buying a fire truck, the mayor of LA went on a trip to Africa. How much did that trip to Africa cost? I bet you could have bought a fire truck. I bet you could have bought another fire engine, but instead she went on a trip to Africa. Everybody didn't talk about the right things of what's going on. So when we talk about Lil Ronnie being murdered in broad daylight at a car wash and a 5-year-old little girl being murdered broad daylight at the car wash, what I want people like me in Fort Worth and Dallas, there's billionaires in Dallas. I want you to go to the next city council. I want you to ask, how much do police officers start at in Fort Worth and Dallas? Do they start off at $92,000, $97,000? Tracy, BDBG, if y'all watching and you're on your cell phone, y'all might be at work, so I won't be mad. I love you. Look up how much. I can look it up right now. I'll look it up. I'll look it up right now. I was on Instagram. I was telling Mark Woke. I said, what made me come back to YouTube is a sister. A beautiful sister said, if you 40 to 50 years old, you need to do your YouTube because you have a unique wisdom and perspective. And that's when I created Top of the Mid-Morning from an OG perspective. Because that sister said, people need to hear your wisdom. So the reason I reiterate that, like, share, subscribe, hit the Cash App, and go ahead and hit the donate super chat. Anybody who super chats, I just want to tell you right now, you have the opportunity to be the first super chat. So you could be a jerk and super chat $1, or you could be a player and super chat the maximum. I don't know if it's 3,000, 5,000. The maximum amount might be $1,000, but whatever the maximum amount is, you have the opportunity right now to super chat me for the first time, and you could put in the maximum amount. Like, that's one chance you get to do that. You know what I'm saying? This will be perfect. First super chat for the years I've been doing YouTube. So let's look up. Oh, we have 55 minutes too. So let's look up what's the starting salary for a police officer in Dallas. $69,000 a year. The starting salary for a police officer in Dallas, Texas is approximately $69,000 a year. Here's a little bit more detail. Average salary is around $69,000, which is 15% above the national average. It's 15% above the national average. Like, I don't know if people know that because I got kids in college. Tracy, I know you got your son. I met you, he was like 15, so I know your son getting ready to go to college, go to the military. Do you know what jobs, and this is the thing, like job readiness, like I was talking to my daughter, and kids don't understand, and these parents are not prepared, teachers, like, do you guys know, I had this debate with Art New Style about teachers, because he's a professor, and how wealthy teachers are. And I said to Art in this debate, what jobs, what degree would you get? A 4-year degree, you know what I'm saying? Like, to be a police officer, you don't even need a degree. Some of these cities are begging for police officers. Like, if your son went to the military and came back, he would have, whatever he needed to be a police officer or a sheriff, right? What degree could you get from college for 4 years that when you got out, you would be able to get a job for $79,000 starting, right? And not only that, the fact that you now owe potentially anywhere from 40 to 80 grand for that 4-year degree in your college loans. And if you lived on campus, it could be up to 100 grand. So can anybody tell me what jobs could you go to college? Only 4 years though. I'm not going to give you a master's degree. I'm not going to give you a master's degree. I should only give you 2 years. I should give you an associate's degree because to be a police officer, it's only 2 years, right? What degree could you obtain in college after 2 years where you could start entry level? That means your career is on a trajectory from there at 70 grand. That's a real question as we talk about hood fame, Ronnie, and the police and the judge and why this young man was free. Do you know how much judges make? How much this is the conversation. It's not about all the goofy shit. That's why a 50, 40-year-old man have to do this live stream. So I can focus people who pay taxes, who pay Mellow Rules, who pay the homeowner, who pay HOA fees. And you don't want to talk about it. It's not that you don't care because a 5-year-old girl is murdered, but you like, man, I don't want to talk about this murder all the time. I don't want to talk about this shit all the time. I don't want to talk about it either. So, but we got to talk about this shit. You know what I saw the other day? I saw Jada Youngin, mama, arguing with Jada Youngin, baby mama. Now, I bring this up in correlation to this topic because I did a story on Jada Youngin. There was a boycott recently where they said boycott Target in big box stores, right? So in my research, Jada Youngin was a rapper from the South, Alabama or something like that in the Bible Belt. He got murdered in front of his house with his father. There were a lot of more details. His father was a police officer, almost like a police chief. He lived in a nice neighborhood and had a Corvette outside of everybody else. Now, when I did my research on Jada Youngin, I wanted to talk about this, but I'm like, Jada Youngin passed away a long time ago. Come to find out, Jada Youngin's trending again because his mama is arguing with his baby mama. When I did my research on Jada Youngin's murder, you know what I found? I found that 80% of the people in his town work at Walmart and they make under $20,000 a year. The median income when Jada Youngin was murdered was something like $12,000 a year for the city that he lived in. To me, that's not believable because in San Francisco, where I grew up, $100,000 a year and you still could be on welfare. So I don't understand how people live and their only job is Walmart. Walmart in the city where Jada Youngin was murdered was the biggest employer. How many cities in the South is Walmart? Black Ram was saying how stupid it is to boycott these places. And as soon as Black Ram said that, I thought about Jada Youngin. And I'm like, hey, do people know about the South and how people earn a living? And where Jada Youngin was murdered, the majority of black, white, brown, every race, creed, and gender, it did not delineate any of those things. It's basically said that Walmart was the biggest employer. So in a lot of those places in the South, it's either Walmart or Tyson. Tyson is the chicken plant, the chicken factory, where they make, because y'all eat chicken wings all day. No one wonders, where all the chicken wings come. Remember Young Dolph said, where all these chicken wings come? I want to know too. In the South, that's the job. Everybody work at Tyson When I say everybody, I mean everybody in the whole city. It's not even a city, really. It's a town. Everybody in the whole town work at Tyson, or everybody where Jada Youngin worked at Walmart. 80%, the other people probably work for the city. Garbage, police, and fire. Jada Youngin's father was a police officer. So he made a lot more than most of the people in that town, because most of the people was below the poverty line, because the only job, now think about this, not only was that the job, but it was the only job. And when you live in a small southern town, the Tyson chicken plant is the only job. It's not like you have a choice. Like you got to go to another state. You got to go to college. You got to leave this city. There's nowhere else to work. If I stay here, I have to work at the chicken plant. If I stay here, I have to work at Walmart, because that's the only employer. Walmart is the largest. Do y'all understand what's going on in our country? Jada Youngin city, largest employer is Walmart. I just brought up for you the entry level salary for a Dallas police officer. Can y'all see that? $69,000. $69,000 starting salary. Jada Youngin, the city, the entire city, median income is under 20 grand. The number one employer in the city Jada Youngin got murdered in was Walmart. No one's making $69,000 a year. We can't afford our police. No one in the city where Jada Youngin was murdered was making 69. You know who made more money? Police. In my debate, and teachers. And this is the sick part of America. So in that city, everybody, regular people working at Walmart every day, paying their bills, getting gas, $12,000 a year. The manager maybe $20,000 a year. But teachers, I looked it up. Teachers in Arkansas, Alabama, start at 40 grand. 40 grand. And people are fighting for teachers to make more money, but they don't care about how much money they make. You want your teacher to make more money, but you have no idea how much she makes in correlation to what you make. Sean Watkins said, or correction, mid-throw CEOs think they the shit off of 25 to 30K. Because it's double or triple what anybody else in the city. So what else do they have in these small southern cities? Prisons. I was watching Wallow. Listen to this. Sean, that's an excellent comment. You know what Wallow said? Wallow, and it got to me. Wallow said it almost made him cry. Wallow said it was a racist CEO. Sean, check this out. Wallow said it was a racist CEO. And you know, racists be black or white. When you be incarcerated, it be black dudes who just is worse than, you don't even know it until you get down. Down south, you can meet some racist black. If you ever seen a Soldier Story, Wallow said it was a racist CEO. And he would fuck with him all the time. The racist CEO came up to Wallow and showed Wallow a picture of a brand new boat in a lake house. And he told Wallow, he said, hey, this is what you and the homies got me. Yeah, he said, you and the homies did that. Sean, how about overtime, Sean? Sean Watkins, you know they get mandatory overtime, so they had 30K. What about with the mandatory overtime? These are powerful people in these small towns. He showed Wallow a picture of a boat and said, you going to jail, you doing the crime, you being incarcerated 20 years, got me a boat and a vacation home. That's the difference. That's how big the wealth gap is. It's huge, bro. It's huge. He said, you got me a boat and a lake house. They need you to go to jail. The economy is built on you. The economy is built on your broken mama. Your mama who lacks emotional intelligence, who creates the homo thug, who creates the murderer. You know, when they create initiatives to make crime go down, police unions complain, teachers union complain, the teachers need the crime, the police need the crime, because that's how they argue for more money. That's how police unions and teacher unions get more money. They don't never want the crime to go down. Remember I told you about they changed the law and the domestic violence went down and the police got mad because they were making less money. They need the crime. They need the crime. That's what I would, for anybody out there now, you know, that's a lot of money. That's a lot of money. Listen to this. Listen to this. Listen to this. I said, I gave you 2 years, right? Nobody answered the question. 2 years in college, what degree could get you 70 grand? Walking in the door. With all I got is my degree. I ain't never did this job before. Think about that in America. Walking in the door, all I got is this associate's degree. Fuck it, I'll give you a bachelor's degree. I ain't never had a job before. I'm walking in with a bachelor's degree. Who gonna pay you 70 grand? America don't work that way. Corporations don't work that way. You need to be able to do something. I don't care you went to college, you ain't never had a job before. How you gonna, I'll pay you 30, 40, 50 at a high level, 50 if you working at Goldman Sachs or something like that. Let's see what's entry level at let's see how much, what's entry level at one of these banks in New York. What's entry level? Entry level salary for a mortgage banker. For is it a mortgage banker, mortgage broker? I don't even know how long you got to go to school for that. 75,000. Look, as of March 2025, entry-level mortgage broker in California, including Sacramento area, can expect to earn an average annual salary of around 87 with the range of from 74 to 100. So entry-level mortgage broker makes the same money as a fucking beat cop in a uniform. Starting off. They don't tell you this shit, do they? Here's more detailed breakdown. So as the percentage, most make less. Most make around 70 grand. Most make around 70 grand, and they don't got the opportunity for overtime like a police officer. You gotta think about this. All the police officers at home who listening to me make this comment, just like I said about Sean Watkins with the correctional officers, they laughing. You know why they laughing? Because no one makes the 70 grand. No one makes the 30 grand, right, Sean? If you're a police officer, what do they say? Man, they don't even get a day off for 3 weeks. They boss won't let them have a day off. Until you got 100 arrests, you can't get a day off. You know how much overtime it is in the police department? Mandatory overtime. So the starting salary was 70 grand. That guy's gonna make at least 90 that year. He might earn 150. He might pay 40,000 in taxes. Because when you do overtime, they charge you all these taxes. So his flat rate is 70 grand. No one makes 70 grand as a police officer because you're not doing your flat rate. You're doing mandatory. It's part of the union. It's part of the design. It's part of, because we need to negotiate for more money in the budget next year when we go to the city council. It's a game, y'all. Politics. Police is politics. I should have shared that because that's different with teachers because teachers ain't getting no overtime, right? But no one in law enforcement is doing that flat rate. Law enforcement is not even designed like that. They tell you that in the interview. Yes, it's 70 grand a year, but you will do mandatory overtime, double time. So you will probably make double that. You will probably make in your first year 150,000. You're not gonna bring home 150,000 because they're gonna tax you out your ass, and you're gonna be put in like Obama created. You're gonna give a luxury tax, even though you're not Trump and you're not a billionaire, and you don't have no money, you don't own a house, you don't have nothing. But because you got this job and you got all this extra money, the government gonna treat you like you're rich. So you're not gonna get 70 grand. You're gonna make at least 50. They're gonna take 50 from you. You're gonna bring home at least 100 as an entry-level police officer because of the mandatory overtime. This is what high-earning mortgage brokers make is 100,000. Some make low as 44,000. There's a range from 44,000 to 100,000. And an entry-level police officer in Dallas is making $69,000 day one. Day one, and it said 3 weeks training is all you need. I gave you 2 years. I said a 2-year degree. I even was so kind, I said a 4-year bachelor degree. I shouldn't give you 4 years bachelor degree. I shouldn't give you 2 years because the Dallas police only want 3 weeks training, and you start at 70 grand, equivalent to a mortgage broker. A freaking mortgage broker, bro. Sean Walker said, you speaking fat. Lived in Farmville, VA, most of my younger years. I moved to DMV, and it made my whole understanding change. The government jobs is giving the average person good money. You not lying, but in 2025, I don't know how he haven't figured out. I don't know how people ain't figured this out yet. But a 5-year-old, this is what I said, Sean, before you came in. If a 5-year-old girl is murdered and YouTubers keep solving these murders, why are we paying the police so much money? Why we don't have, I'm looking at smart cities differently. I talked about Web3 earlier this week. I talked about Gavin Newsom getting a podcast and why Gavin Newsom getting a podcast. He said the Democrats are leading from behind. Gavin Newsom got a podcast. It's the same thing as these antiquated police departments. It's not fucking 00. It's not fucking Sherlock Holmes and fucking magnifying glass. It's not Pink Panther. We still got Pink Panther and police departments with detectives and shit like that. The YouTubers are solving the crimes. We have a society that's on camera. If AI is as smart as AI is, I use AI. I told you the success on my channel is coming from my AI, derived from AI. If AI is as good as it is for me or you, imagine how good AI is for the government. We don't need police departments to exist in the same way. Police officers shouldn't be making that much money. We can invest that money into AI. We need an AI police department because if we had an AI think tank, they would have solved the crime before the YouTubers. Tell me why, Perfect. Because the AI computer would have been able to assess the videos faster and more efficiently than the YouTubers. The YouTubers, hey, let me give props to the YouTube. The YouTube sleuths has been kicking major butt. I ain't taking nothing away from the YouTube sleuths. They have solved murder after murder after murder. Shout out to YouTubers. I'm a YouTuber. The investigative journalism that has been exhibited in the non-traditional media has saved lives. So no disrespect to you, but for someone who thinks analytically the way I do, not taking anything away from you because people say, why take it from a human being? Because of the fact that I believe that there is so much information given out on the internet that we truly could have a Minority Report police department that would predict crime. Now, when we first saw the movie, everybody was like, you can't predict the crime. How you gonna predict the crime? How you gonna have pre-crime? We didn't know this level of social media would exist. If we have an AI who is tapped into smartphones, smart TVs, just like in the movie. I'm not saying I don't want the AI to be tapped in because it's already happening right now. I would argue that they already know the crimes. They already know what's happening because the AI exists. Remember, Obama was illegally getting your meta information off your phone. So come on, man, this network already exists, man. I don't want to scare you, but if they have a true crimes police department and they're tapped into smartphones, smart television, and social media, they would have been able to not only solve the crime faster than the YouTube sleuths, I argue they would have been able to predict it, especially especially if the baby mama was setting him up for money. If the baby mama was talking about life insurance on the phone, gathering life insurance, if the baby mama was cultivating information on his location and whereabouts, I believe they could have predicted the crime. I know it sounds outlandish, but she called those guys. Someone paid those guys to do the hit. If someone called them on a smartphone, if they talked about it in front of a smart TV, if they recorded any of the conversations on social media, somebody should be excited in the chat. And you should also be scared because this technology already exists. Your phone is already listening to you. Your TV is already listening to you. There's phones everywhere you go. There's cameras everywhere you go. So when I say true crime police department, this is not a joke. When I say pre-crime, when we saw that movie, we was like, oh, this is amazing. And they had they had symbioids in the water and they doing pre-crime. And all that, you know what because our mind couldn't wrap, sometimes movies have art and symbolism. So because your mind couldn't wrap around AI at the time when true crime came out, they put these symbioids in water and said, well, these symbioids stay in water and their mind works so fast that they can figure out the crime. Their mind works so fast they can predict who's going to do a crime. Well, those symbioids was just symbolism. For what? For supercomputers. The symbioids were not, that's not going to be real. They're not going to have like symbioids in water and attached to stupid shit. They got supercomputers. Right now, they got quantum computers. So instead of a symbioid in the middle of a room, they have a quantum computer that can do how many calculations? They said the computer solved an equation that would take 100 years to solve. The computer solved that equation in 2 seconds. That's how you do pre-crime. Anybody thinking I'm full of shit don't understand quantum computing. The computer solved an equation that would take 100 years and solved it in 5 seconds. So with quantum computing and everything that you low frequency motherfuckers put on social media, yes, they can predict crime. Yes. Zigzag in the house. Zigzag said, Jesus, take the wheel. You wonder why you only have 5 people in here and 4 likes. Do better. Zigzag didn't get his breakfast this morning. It's called a chat because that's when you engage more than just one person. Nobody wants to just sit here and listen to you yell and talk. I think so. I think they like to listen to me yell and talk. Is he reading the chat today or is he just rambling? Hi, Zigzag. How you doing, Zigzag? You know what I'm saying? Much love to you. Big digital. Everybody give a digital hug to Zigzag. You know what I'm saying? Everybody give a digital. I'm going to give a drink drag. Hey, I'm going to give a drink drag on my Zigzag. Everybody, and I want everybody in the chat say, I hug you, Zigzag. Thank you for watching and coming to the Zigzag. Do you know you don't have to be here? Like when I used to go to church, we used to have to go to church all day. The main pastor would preach in the morning and the guest pastor would preach at 3 o'clock. I hated the guest pastor. I only wanted my pastor to preach. I didn't understand why we let somebody else in our pulpit. I was beefing. I was fine. Grandma would be like, calm down. And I would like, they always say the same thing. They always try to get people to give them money. I didn't like that aspect of the church. My pastor would preach conflicting sermons. So the guest pastor would always start off by saying, y'all could have been anywhere else today, but the Lord saw fit for you to be here in the house of the Lord. I said, oh, here we go. It's going to be one of them days again. You know what I'm saying? Because he started off with, we could have been anywhere, but the Lord saw fit for us to be in the house of the Lord today. And I just wanted to share with Zigzag that you could have been anywhere. Oh, shit. You could have been anywhere else today. You could have been anywhere else today. Hey, somebody took back their like. Tracy, somebody took back their like. Oh, shit. Somebody took back their like. Oh. Zigzag, I love you, boy. I love you, boy. You could have been anywhere else today, but the Lord saw fit for you to be in the house of the Perfect Timing Podcast Networks. And I want to say thank you to everybody who chose to tap in today, man. Top of the morning vertical live stream going up, man. Top of the mid morning, man. Good mid morning from an OG, man. So, Tracy, I know you saw Lil Ronnie murdered, a 5-year-old girl murdered. Her birthday was 2 days before the murder. Come to find out the 2 young men who murdered them should have been incarcerated. The reason I've been talking about salaries is for someone of my age, it's important for me, society. Like, it's not exciting when these murders happen. It's a failure. Just like with the Eaton fire and all those blacks who lost all that wealth. You know, a lot of wealth was erased in '08 and Obama with the mortgage crisis, right? Blacks and Latinos lost a lot of their wealth, which was in their homes. So the last little bit of black wealth was in those homes, and those homes were burnt down. I say the homes were burnt down because we didn't have adequate services. A lot of people agree. I'm not the only one saying that. They admitted they ran out of water, they didn't have enough fire engines. I'm talking about the fact that cities are broke. Why were those 2 young men not arrested? It's directly related to democratic policies, defund the police, and cities being broke. Not having enough police officers making too much money and not being held accountable. When I talk about pre-crime, when I talk about Minority Report, how did we get there? We got there because a 5-year-old girl was murdered and the internet solved the crime. Police officers who make up the majority of the city budget did not solve the crime. I said police officers and police departments that make a majority of the city budget are not solving and stopping crime. So when Dodge and Elon Musk question the Department of Education, we need to start questioning the police department. And not on no BLM, not on no defundable, not on no bullshit, but y'all make a lot of damn money. And y'all not stopping crime and preventing crime and protecting the community. Y'all get the money and y'all leave. The teachers, you work in a low-income school to make more money, but you don't live in that neighborhood. We need new policy. If you want to work in a low-income school so you make more money, you have to live in that neighborhood. Police officers who want to work in a low-income area to make more money, you have to live in that neighborhood. We need to stop paying out police officers and paying out pensions so high. And we need to start asking for more from these people and start challenging them. Remember it was close to Dallas. It was a school shooting in the South. Y'all remember? It was like a year or so ago. And the Texas sheriffs were scared to go in. Y'all never heard what happened, but they replaced all those officers. If Trump was in office, Trump probably would have put them in jail. Trump called them cowards. They replaced all those officers. You got police when there's a school shooting that won't even go into school and risk their life for kids. It's like, why are we paying them? If that's what you're going to do, all I need is a computer. Give me my symbioids. If you're not going to stop a school shooter, we don't need you no more, bro. Give me my symbioids. Give me my pre-crime. Give me my Minority Report. I'm tired of paying so much money and not getting nothing in return. Kids can't read. And a 5-year-old girl just got murdered. The kids can't read and the 5-year-old girl just got murdered. And then you didn't even solve the crime. Social media, non-traditional YouTube sleuths solve the crime for you. They come in the press conference, the police come on and say, we looking at social media. If you have any videos, send them to us. This is what they said. Shout out to Zigzag, man. Shout out to Zigzag. Put Zigzag on a nice little timeout. You gotta keep everybody in check, man. Keep everybody in order, man. Keep everybody in check. Keep everybody in order, man. So, just the context today was great. Like, mortgage broker, 70 grand. You know what I'm saying? Entry level Dallas police officer, 70 grand. You know what I'm saying? The context today is a trip, man. What's the median income? They said that was 15% higher than the national average. What's the median income in Fort Worth, man? Now, y'all want to hear something that's a trip just for context for today. Just for context. Because people, I don't know if people talking about this, so I gave you context. A 5-year-old little girl was murdered. The police didn't solve the crime. Entry-level salary for Dallas police, 70 grand. You know what the median income is for Fort Worth? $40,000. $40,000. Now, remember I told you, none of the police officers will make that flat 70 grand. Part of the interview process is that you understand you damn near gonna work double the amount of hours. And you're gonna make overtime, and you're gonna make at least 150 grand that first year and pay 50 grand in taxes. And it's gonna bump you up into a higher tax bracket. They don't tell you all this, but they do tell you you're gonna have to do mandatory overtime. When we talk about racism in police and why they arrest blacks the way they do, y'all see that interview of those cops, those black cops, right? He said, I hadn't had a day off in 3 weeks. My wife was tripping on me. My wife and my kids. Because I hadn't had a day off in 3 weeks. He said he went to his sergeant, asked for a day off. The sergeant looked at his numbers to see how many arrests he had. He said, get the fuck out of my face. He said, you ain't got enough arrests. He said, go bring me back 100 arrests. I'll give you a day off. He said, I'm tired. He said, my wife is angry. He said, they send you back out into the streets. Tired, angry, pissed. And then he called you a pussy. Oh, you a fucking pussy. You're not getting a day off. And he said, they send you back out in the street to get 100 arrests. He said, where I'm going to go get 100 arrests? He said, there's only one place we can go. That's fucked up, bro. He said, there's only one place we can go. We can't go to the rich neighborhood because somebody might call my boss and then I'm back in the shit again. Where can I go and get 100 arrests and no one ain't gonna say shit? I gotta go to the black community. I gotta go to the low income community, and I'm fucking with people. So when you see cops fucking with people, what he was trying to explain is they really are fucking with people. You feel like you getting fucked with because you getting fucked with. This is a fucked up time we live in. You like, man, is this guy fucking with me? Yes. He been sent out here by his superiors. He ain't had a day off in 3 weeks. And they said, come out here and do 100 arrests. Yes, he is fucking with you. Yes, he is. And that's the job. That's the taxes that you pay for. And he making double what you bringing home. To fuck with you. To not solve 5-year-old girl murder. The median income is 40 grand. The median income is 40,000. The income for an entry-level police officer is 69,000. The median income is 40,000. The median income for a police officer entry is 69,000. Here you go. What that say? What that say right there? We on the phone. What that say? 69,000. Police officer, wait. Starting. Let's get it. Starting salary. 69,000. Starting salary. Starting salary, 69,000. Medium income, 40,000. I told you JD Youngin median income was like 12 to 21,000. Because the number one employer is Walmart. I gotta go. Thank y'all for tapping in and watching, man. Person podcast with the blast and the dash, in and out real fast, top of the mid-morning, and we won't last, man. Hey, make sure you like, share, subscribe, man. Like I said, the super chat is up. I want to say thank you to YouTube for, I got an email from the YouTube community partners. They asked me to join. It was like a great day for me. Thank you to YouTube. Thank you to everybody watching. Thank you to all of the timers, to my moderators, Tracy, Big Daddy Beer Gaming came through. Even thank you to Zigzag. It was another person that was contentious earlier. You know, who we got? Kyson Aona, a.k.a. Thank you for coming through. Sean Watkins, thank you for coming through, interacting with the chat. Who was that earlier? Glorilla. Tony Edwards, add me on your Xbox. McKinney had a question, but they didn't ask the question. Come back. Isaac Vulcan said hi. I deleted a message. Michaela Curtis, come back tomorrow at 10 a.m. Thank you for stopping through, Michaela Curtis. Come back, Sean Watkins. You had some great input and commentary. Thank you for stopping through, Sean Watkins. Come back tomorrow at 10 a.m. You know, Tracy sending out that big hug to Zigzag. You know, Zigzag was here yesterday hating. Zigzag been here every day hating. So I just want to say, you know, we must be doing something right. You know what I'm saying? When you get the people showing up hating every day, you know what I'm saying? We must be doing something right. But I want to say somebody double tap the screen. Tracy, I think these motherfuckers ain't shit, boy. Somebody double tapped the screen. Somebody took away their like. You know what I mean? They woke up this morning and chose violence, man. They woke up this morning and chose funk, man. Like they just look, somebody hit the like back again, man. Look, they woke up this morning and chose destruction. Say, I'm going to the Perfect Timing podcast and I'm going to show my ass this morning. You know what I'm saying? So, hey, you know, I understand, man. I get it. It's the internet. We came to be entertained and have fun. I pray that you guys receive some good information this morning and the perspective from an OG, man. You know, when we talk about a 5-year-old little girl getting murdered and the 2 young men who murdered them did you know that the judge had issued a warrant? The police just hadn't picked them up. So you could look at the situation and say, is the police lazy? It's the same thing like with the LA fire. What really took place? Because the police did not pick up that young man. 3 weeks ago, they had 3 weeks. That's a long time. I think they should have found him. If you want to make $70,000 a year entry level, the judge put out a warrant for his arrest 3 weeks ago. The little girl would have been alive. So that's why I took the perspective of how much money is these police officers making? If AK-47 is solving all the crimes, why the police officer, if Ratchet TV, if what's the other one, Sco, Just Say No to Sco, if these YouTubers are solving all the crimes, why, what do we need police officers for who don't even go arrest the people who they've been told to arrest? That boy was walking around for 3 weeks with this warrant. The other boy was a PDF on the sex offender list. He should have been arrested. Number one, why are you letting the sex offender just walk around? That's your job. That's what you're getting paid 80 grand entry level to get. And we talked about the retirement. We're not even talking about why the cities are broke, why LA burnt down, why we didn't have water, why we didn't have enough fire engines. It's because of the pensions. That's why the cities are broke. You don't know how much of the budget that the LA fire, the LA police, Dallas is a metropolis. Do you know how much of the city budget Dallas fire and Dallas PD is? You should know. You should know. And that's why I did my podcast the way I did my podcast today. I mean, you could go to a lot of people, they're going to talk about all the stupid shit. But a 5-year-old girl is murdered. And the 2 men involved should have been incarcerated. And the police don't solve the crime. YouTube will solve the crime. I don't expect you to solve the crime. You didn't even go pick up the guy for 3 weeks. You didn't even knock on his door. You didn't say boo. You didn't throw a soda can. 3 weeks and you didn't even call him. Hey, go turn yourself in. You didn't do shit. Think about that. The judge put out a warrant for his arrest and 3 weeks go by, they don't even knock on his door. That's why I'm bringing up how much the police make. I just need y'all to have this in perspective of what's going on as you watch it. And you look at this 5-year-old little girl, and in the beginning, everybody was blaming the father. Now we know it ain't the father's fault. Now we see that the baby mama probably set him up for the money. He didn't do anything to hate anybody. He wasn't hated. The baby mama told the murderers. So as we get into this, we see this is a really sick and perverted situation that could have and should have been prevented. Like the LA fires, that 5-year-old girl shouldn't be dead. This could have and should have been prevented. These police officers is sitting on their laurels, cashing their paycheck and not doing their job, bro. 3 weeks. Anybody who disagree with me, you got to be like, God damn, Perfect, you're right. I mean, I might disagree with you on a lot of shit, but they did have a long time to arrest this motherfucker. And did they knock on the door? Perfect, I know you're making a joke, but fuck, did they knock on the door? Did they knock on his door? Because if they didn't, Perfect, that would be fucked up. I don't know if they did or didn't, and I don't know if you're telling the truth right now, but fuck, did they knock on the door, Perfect? 3 weeks is a long time. Did they call his mother? Did they send out a police officer to pick him the fuck up at 6 in the morning? We'll never know. And that 5-year-old girl will never come back. And it's so sad, man. Y'all have a good morning, man. Personal Podcast with the Blast. I'll see y'all tomorrow, 10 a.m., top of the mid-morning. Salute.